McLaren's impressive 1-2 finish at Formula One's Hungarian Grand Prix was overshadowed by a late race controversy surrounding team orders. The decision to pit Lando Norris first during the final round of stops resulted in the Briton gaining an undercut and taking the lead over his teammate, Oscar Piastri. When Piastri pitted 2 laps later, he re-entered the track behind Norris. This strategic move led to a tense exchange between the pit wall and Norris. Initially, Norris resisted requests to reverse positions with Piastri, although he eventually complied with 2 laps remaining. The situation made what should have been a straightforward win more complex. Norris acknowledged the team's strategic missteps. "I feel like we made things way too hard for ourselves and way too tricky for ourselves. We should have just boxed Oscar first and things would have been simple, but they gave me the lead and I gave it back." Piastri added, "I'm sure it's something we'll discuss as a team. The information I had at the time was Lando was boxing early to cover Lewis Hamilton, and I was going long to cover Max Verstappen. Of course, that naturally gave Lando an undercut and maybe made things a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. But yeah, I'm sure that's something we'll go through." The strategic decisions were influenced by the need to counter the moves of other drivers, as explained by McLaren boss Andrea Stella. The team prioritized maintaining a 1-2 finish, even if it meant temporarily positioning the cars in the wrong order. The team order's dilemma was triggered when Norris was pitted first on lap 45. At this point, he was only 2 seconds behind Piastri, having steadily closed the gap during the second stint. McLaren was wary of third-placed Hamilton's advantage on fresh tyres, having pitted on lap 40. Hamilton's consistent pace meant he was reducing the gap to Norris lap by lap. Given the approximately 20-second pit stop loss time, there was a slim margin for error. McLaren couldn't afford for Norris to risk coming out behind Hamilton if there was a delay. Additionally, concerns about tyre degradation influenced the decision to avoid pitting either driver too early, which could leave them vulnerable at the end of the race. Stella elaborated on the strategy. "We didn't want to pit too early because the tyres were degrading a lot, and we didn't want to run out of tyres should Verstappen become a problem at the end of the race. Therefore, we just wanted to delay the pit stop as much as possible. You can have a problematic pit stop, so you need to go safe from a pit stop point of view." The decision to pit Norris first was influenced by the need to manage tyre degradation and the threat from Verstappen, who was running an offset strategy and was 9 seconds behind. Pitting Piastri first might have allowed Red Bull to capitalize, risking a late challenge from Verstappen or a potentially disastrous pit stop error for Norris. For Stella, the priority was clear: protect the 1-2 finish at all costs. The strategy ensured that McLaren controlled the race outcome, even if it created some internal tension. He noted, "It will be arrogant that we take this very positive outcome, and we don't look at the opportunities to do better. But I would be a little careful in thinking, oh, yeah, we should have stopped in a different sequence. There were some potential risks that we definitely wanted to exclude today. Because at no point should the car, for instance because of a pit stop problem, fall behind the traffic of Hamilton and Ferrari." In retrospect, the strategic decisions McLaren made were justified by the results. Despite the uncomfortable moments on the pit wall and the repeated messages to Norris, the team's approach ensured a 1-2 finish, avoiding the risk of losing the lead to competitors.